coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor. This is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Good evening, I'm Zachary Balog, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. In our top story today, a woman from Toronto has been sentenced to 8 months in jail for crimes in Windsor. Kelly McCarthy has been accused and found guilty of stealing other people's identities and used them to defraud Caesars of several $1,000s. Now let's turn it over to Lauren Briscoe with Crime Stoppers for this week's update.
On Thursday, February 3rd at 12:30 p.m., patrol officers responded to a robbery with a firearm that occurred in the 600 block of Division Road. It is reported that 2 male suspects approached the victim as she was exiting her vehicle, a dark blue Porsche Taycan, and ordered the victim to exit her vehicle at gunpoint. The suspects took the vehicle and fled northbound on Division Road. On Friday, on February 4th, the stolen Porsche was located in another jurisdiction. The suspects still remain outstanding. The first suspect is described as a male wearing all dark black clothing, a black hat, a black mask, and was holding the firearm. The second suspect is described as male wearing dark clothing. A black four-door Infiniti G37 sedan with a sunroof and winter tires is believed to be involved. Anyone with surveillance in the 600 block of Division Road is asked to check for possible evidence. Do not approach the suspects or vehicle if seen. Call 911 immediately or Crime Stoppers anonymously at 519-258-TIPS. I'm Police Coordinator Lauren Briscoe.
The trucker convoy stretching across Canada is affecting everyone, with protests causing major traffic blockages right here in Windsor. Colin Bannon was on the scene.
Canadian truckers have taken to the streets of Windsor protesting the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, which was put in place for truckers crossing the border. Truckers were seen on Huron Church and College Avenue protesting, while streets were blocked off by police from the tunnel to the bridge. Trucks were seen equipped with Canadian flags and signs demonstrating the effects of the mandate. The trucker protest affected University of Windsor students and other businesses because of the traffic and were forced to detour rather than taking their usual route.
Behind us, protesters have been playing "O Canada" and have been displaying signs of Canadian flags showing signs for freedom for the vaccine mandate, which has been put in place by Justin Trudeau.
Over the past month, there has been ongoing protests revolving around the mandate across Canada, with the notable Ottawa convoy being a highlight of the events. As for Ontario, there has been no word of the mandate lifting anytime soon. For MediaPlex News, I'm Colin Bannon.
Check your grocery bill. Does it seem just a little higher than usual? Alexa Fraser has the story.
Inflation rates are rising, and Canadian families are noticing just how much their grocery bills are increasing. The Canadian Food Price Report says food insecurity will be an issue for many Canadians this year. Christina Hamlin is a mother of 3 and says she is noticing the price of some groceries rising by 50%.
A pint of strawberries is like almost $9 now, and I was paying maybe $4.99, $5.99, sometimes even $1.99.
Hamlin says she price matches using a mobile app.
Sometimes I can save on a trip like $25, $30.
So pull out the apps, shop smart, and look for sales. That will help with those grocery bills. For MediaPlex News, I'm Alexa Fraser.
Windsor businesses are in full swing preparing their sweet treats for Valentine's Day. Gracie Lowe's has the story.
The month of love is here, and that means that businesses are stocking up on the top gifts for the holiday. Valentine's Day is the one designated day a year where everyone around the world takes time to show their love and appreciation for themselves and others. The most common way of celebrating this holiday is by giving and receiving sweet and meaningful gifts on February 14th. Even though Valentine's Day is a week away, shops have made it clear customers shouldn't wait to the last minute to buy holiday gifts. Rob Obeid is the current manager of Walker Candies in Windsor, and he says to keep up with the rush of Valentine's Day purchases, his business must start preparing their products in stock before February.
It's a process. So yeah, we started, in early January, we start getting our molds out and then start doing those. But we start dipping the truffles like mid-January and start packing them.
With Valentine's Day coming up soon, make sure you get your gifts ahead of time to beat the rush. For MediaPlex News, I'm Gracie Lowe's.
Automation is the way of the future, and it's coming here to Windsor. Ravishan Wajemane reports.
City of Windsor, meet the robots. The Government of Ontario is funding Windsor's switch to automation through its Regional Development Program. The three local companies to secure the latest round of funding were Medicap Laboratories, Canadian Premier Supplements, and Cedar Valley Selections. Amounting to about $2 million, the investment is projected to create more than 70 jobs. Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade Vic Fideli says the funds will help these companies transition from manual production to automation. These investments hope to make Ontario's businesses more competitive in the global market and boost regional economic recovery. Launched in November 2019, the Regional Development Program is helping small and medium-sized businesses in eastern and southwestern Ontario to create more jobs. The program is set to invest more than $100 million over the course of 4 years. In November last year, the province also invested more than $250,000 in Windsor's cnc.tech.com to improve the company's robot systems. For MediaPlex News, I'm Ravishan Vijayaman.
Cryptocurrency is a mystery to many of us. We have this report from Bernard Duval.
The bank did it again. Raised their costs. Transactions take ages and cross-border transfers are riddled with regulations and hidden costs. Isn't there a better way of doing it?
An increasing number of people are raising this question. Cryptocurrency, best known for Bitcoin, is attempting to offer a solution. But what does it offer?
It's anonymous, quick or quicker than online transactions, operates on basically incorruptible software called blockchain. It's regulated by users and not the bank or government, and up to now, not taxed.
Here in Windsor, Ontario, 3 different entrepreneurs specialize in the 3 different components of cryptocurrency.
All 3 got into the space because of their frustration with the banking system, but mostly they've entered the $700 billion industry, hoping their respective efforts will unearth a digital gold mine. Kevin Roy, a builder by trade, mines cryptocurrency as a hobby.
Well, mining is working for a reward. You want to plug in as much hashing power as you have, send it towards a coin, and you get compensated in that currency.
Ian France markets and sells a coin called ProCurrency, created for a developing online shopping platform.
For a coin to truly be successful in a currency, it needs users, usability, and a purpose.
Joshua Ndolo, a University of Windsor economics graduate, launched the company Amani. They use the open source technology that underpins all cryptocurrencies called blockchain.
We allow for cross-border transactions between 2 parties, and it's very economical. It costs about $3 when a bank would take $80. Takes you about a day when a bank would take 3 to 4 business days.
Dr. Muharrem Kanyev, University of Windsor Associate Professor of Law, has his reservations about the sudden rise of this trending, unregulated private currency.
What advantages does a cryptocurrency offer an ordinary consumer, and what value proposition does it provide an ordinary consumer that an existing fiat or national currency does not have?
Similar questions were asked of disruptive and mostly unregulated innovations such as Airbnb and Uber, taking a combined bite of almost $1 trillion out of their respective legacy industries. Will cryptocurrencies do the same to the banking system? Cryptocurrency is not the first private currency, and there's a reason why they vanished.
Why did government get into the currency producing business in the first place? Government didn't get into this business because they wanted to get into this business or curb freedoms. They had to get into this business because there was too much economic uncertainty involved with private currencies in the past.
If it bothers you, paying 40 cents for a cup of coffee in the morning and $4 that same afternoon, advocates for cryptocurrency won't just say you're getting it wrong. They'll say you're just not getting it. Let's take a step back. Where does cryptocurrency come from and how does it work? We'll use Bitcoin as an example.
A number of Bitcoins were released by the maker. As the coins are traded, the transactions are encrypted onto a ledger. The process of encryption is performed by miners, whose computers solve these encryption problems called hashes. The computer that solves the transaction block first is rewarded for its efforts with a predetermined amount of Bitcoin.
The transaction blocks on Bitcoin take a minimum of 10 minutes to solve. To create a fake one, you'll need to start right from the beginning. It can never catch up to the one everyone agrees is the right one.
Roy grew a profitable mining operation. The equipment he bought online with digital currency with proceeds from mining.
Yeah, well, I just mine whatever's most profitable at the time. There's a calculator online. Basically, it tells me what's most profitable like at that moment.
He's been averaging around $1,200 per month. Roughly 25% goes towards electricity.
As long as I've been in it, it's profitable. You can make 10 times the profit one day, and then a month later, you're making a tenth. It's pretty much a game of throw the most hardware and money at it and you get a return.
It was essentially designed to serve the interests of vendors.
Roy doesn't agree with Kanyev that it's all a vendor-centric model with little or no value to the average customer. But then Roy isn't the average customer.
So if I want to go out for dinner, I can go on a site called coincards.ca and buy a gift card for just about anywhere in Canada with crypto. Restaurants, Home Depot, bookstores. Bitcoin only has value because people decide it has value.
No one understands this better than entrepreneur Ian France.
Now it's just a matter of being able to implement a day-to-day currency that people can use. There's 1,500 coins that are sitting out there, and I would venture to say that 1,400 plus are crap.
The iPro network sells incentivized investor packages ranging from $100 to $6,000. Half of the value of your investment is given back to you in the form of pro currency. Investors are educated in how to open online storefronts where the pro currency is slowly introduced in the form of a rebate system.
They've combined this currency with the education to teach people to open their own stores, accept the coin as well, along with all the major retailers. So they've developed this ecosystem to keep people there utilizing the coin.
The coin's success relies on mass buy-in. France realizes that for this to happen, he needs to forsake some of his libertarian leanings.
I believe that some sort of centralization, some form of regulations will benefit the actual overall digital currency industry.
In the long term, the problem that might arise in a scenario where online storefronts only accept pro currency is monopolization, where the store is the bank, is the user's online wallet and exchange.
Are we simply exchanging one set of intermediaries with another?
All cryptocurrencies are trying to become more consumer-centric. A central characteristic of technological development, however, is its unpredictability.
There's a development of blockchain technology, which is something quite apart from the cryptocurrency aspect. And I think that is what is going to have more staying power in the long run.
The potential of this digital innovation was embraced by Joshua Ndolo, a Kenyan national who came to the University of Windsor on an athletics scholarship to study economics.
There was no easy way of transferring money to and from Africa. So I said, why not just try and build an app by myself with my friends? And that led to Amani.
Clients have jumped at the chance of doing cheap blockchain-supported transactions on their platform. Ndolo acknowledges that cryptocurrencies are currently a speculative and dangerous trend.
Because if you have so many people buying into this trend, buying into this craze, you inflate the price, and that could lead to a lot of misfortune. For someone in the Western world who's lived in an environment where the financial system actually works and is functional, but not see the necessity for a new way of doing finance.
It might very well be a marginalized economy that paves the way towards global adoption of cryptocurrencies.
So I think you'll have a lot of countries that have been left back due to their access to financial instruments. It could be a mass movement. It could be an economy that adopts it and does really well, and others look up to it and say, well, they're doing really well over there. Why don't we adopt it over here so that we can keep up or learn from them?
Kanyev is concerned about the absence of consumer protections. If a vendor refuses to reverse a transaction,
I can call my credit card company, they can reverse the transaction, they can help protect my interests. If I'm buying something with cryptocurrency, I'm essentially sending cash in the mail. And I don't necessarily know who I'm doing business with.
But to Ndolo, that's exactly the purpose of peer-to-peer self-regulation.
So anybody who's unethical, anybody who's immoral performing transactions will be able to spot you and maybe stop doing business with you. Until now, the banks had been doing that. They would check who was fraudulent, they would check all this stuff, but now they don't need to. We can do it for ourselves.
The anonymity and the absence of a central regulator are what make investing and using cryptocurrency attractive. It's not impossible that this libertarian utopia can come crashing down in the wink of an eye.
If this becomes more widespread, and if this looks like that it's going to be a vehicle for tax evasion or excessive tax avoidance, then governments will become involved.
The nature of the internet and blockchain is open source and self-regulated instantaneously evolving sharing platforms. Their very existence is completely dependent on an inclusive and active participatory user community. Out of these reciprocal interactions, a consensus is reached on the value of cryptocurrency.
Despite looming legislation and extreme fluctuations in the value of cryptocurrency, there is money to be made, whether mining, trading, or buying shares in cryptocurrency businesses.
Turning to weather, currently it is -4, and now your 3-day forecast. Wednesday, it will be 3 degrees with a chance of flurries. Thursday, cloudy and a high of -2. Friday, back to the positive side of things with a high of 1 and a few snow flurries. We dip back down for the weekend. If you have ever traveled to Florida, then you may have traveled the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Here's Did You Know? The Sunshine Skyway Bridge is a 6.7-kilometer bridge that spans Tampa Bay and the Gulf of Mexico. So what else makes this bridge a one-of-a-kind? Well, I'll tell you in this edition of Did You Know? The Sunshine Skyway Bridge, which connects the two cities of Bradenton and St. Petersburg, Florida, opened in 1971 and cost $25 million to build.
To all stations, this is United States Coast Guard, St. Petersburg, Florida. The vessel Summit Venture, 606 foot, has hit the Skyway Bridge. Any vessels in Tampa Bay area, Skyway vicinity, proceed and assist. There are reports of people in the water.
In 1980, a freighter named MV Summit Venture struck the southbound span. The collision destroyed most of that span and caused 35 deaths. The new span, which you see right behind me, was built in 1984 and completed in 1987. The approaches to the old bridge were kept in place and turned into a state park referred to as the Skyway Fishing Pier State Park. This park consists of both piers on the north and south side of Tampa Bay and is extensively used by fishermen. The more you know. For MediaPlex News, I'm Zachary Balog. And speaking of Florida, Disney is for everyone, and as Mariana Yanekovic reports, even for those who are visually impaired.
Some say childhood is the best time in our lives. No worries, no problems, no fears. Just us and our friends, both real and imaginary, rolling around in a world of fantasy, flying high in the sky, diving deep into the ocean, climbing mountains in our minds. But for some people, their imagination is their reality.
Cartoons were really inaccessible to me as a kid because they were so visual. I couldn't identify with them at all because there was an awful lot happening in the cartoons that was not expressed through dialogue.
Rebecca Blevoigt was born blind. She was 5 when she first realized that not being able to see wasn't something everyone dealt with.
We had just had a visit from the principal of the School for the Blind that I would be attending, and I think it was that visit that made me start to think, I wonder, and I started to realize that I couldn't see out of my eyes.
Rebecca is one of the owners of Tech Television Graphics in Windsor, a business that prints materials in Braille. She and her husband Emmanuel have signed a 3-year licensing agreement with Disney to produce at least 15 creative coloring books with Disney characters. Disney books in Braille have never been produced in Disney's 90-year history. Emmanuel came up with the idea.
We had just come back to Canada and he started saying, you know, our coloring books would be great for if we had Disney characters. And my immediate reaction was, well, oh gosh, you know, imagine the red tape you have to go through to get that.
Blind and visually impaired will finally be able to see Disney classics like Mickey Mouse, Bambi, 101 Dalmatian, Goofy, and many more. The process of producing books consists of taking the Disney art and adapting it in a tactile format that will make sense to blind people reading it. Rebecca believes books with Disney characters will open a window to a completely new world.
If I knew that there were Braille coloring books, if the first Braille coloring books that I ever got were Disney characters, that would be very cool. I think as a kid I would have found that extremely, extremely neat, you know, to be able to bring that and show the other children and be able to color.
According to the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, there are 500,000 Canadians with significant visual impairment. Almost 200,000 of them reside in Ontario.
The number of requests we've gotten to let them know when the books are available from adults are even more than the number of kids. So it's because we didn't grow up with this stuff either. So yeah, it's a huge lot of people that are going to be impacted by this.
Emmanuel designs graphics in Braille for the purpose of Braille readers. One of his favorite pieces of art that he created is the periodic table of elements. Although making coloring books with Disney characters fulfills him and makes him happy, Emmanuel says it's a long process since it needs to be done very precisely.
It's slow work, slow process. It's too slow for me, but I want everything last week, so I want everything yesterday, so I just have to be patient.
Emmanuel remembers the first time he revealed one of their coloring books to a child. It was with a little girl who was blind.
The little girl was right in front of me, and she was just like this. She had never touched a coloring book with her fingers. What do you think it is? It's a house. Yeah, you're right, that's a house. How do you know it's a house? With windows. Yeah, you're right. It was the first time she was actually touching her own idea of a house. Her mom was just like crying for me.
Seeing how blue the sky looks on a bright sunny day, the simplicity of nature's beauty, or the vibrant color of a freshly bloomed flower, so many of us take sight for granted. In their modest office, their second home, Rebecca and Emmanuel don't work alone. They have their biggest supporter always by their side, Carrie, Rebecca's seeing-eye dog and loving companion. Carrie doesn't know what preconception is, but Rebecca's father says it's something Rebecca faced with since she was a child.
The biggest challenge in raising Rebecca, I think it was more related to how other people dealt with her. Everybody wanted to help her, and because of her independence, she wanted to do it herself. So it was very difficult in some ways to tell people, let her do it.
I mean, there are things that are much easier to do when you can see. Just about everything's easier to do when you can see. But I think a larger obstacle than blindness is probably the societal perceptions of what blind people are capable of. That continues to be a battle that I have to fight with just about everyone I meet. And there's all sorts of societal impressions that are made before I even say a word.
It's really funny because when Rebecca was a young girl, and even into her teenage years, I thought that this girl's gonna make her mark because she was so inventive, and of course she's met Emmanuel, who is a very creative young man, and between the two of them, they've come up with this phenomenal idea, and they'll do well.
Rebecca decided to embrace her destiny from the moment she became aware of it. Today, she is brave, confident, happy, and determined to bring Disney characters in lives of blind and visually impaired, especially the young ones, and take them on a journey in which they have never been before.
The most important thing, after everything and before everything, is to be true to yourself. Whatever society throws at you, whatever other expectations people have of you, listen to your inner voice and do what's in your heart.
And finally, tonight, here is a look at the MediaPlex from the people who study and work here.
Journalism enables people to be well informed. It's documenting history. It's an extraordinary way for people to be connected with their community.
What happens in the world affects us. What happens in our community affects us. What happens in the province affects us.
and we get to be the eyes and ears and tell the stories. There are many stories that need to be told, and those things add value to our life.
It's neat to know that so many people are relying on me. It makes you strive for perfection, or makes you strive for accuracy.
The journalism program here at St. Clair College is a convergence journalism program. Convergence means the merging together of print, radio, and television, and the web, and putting all different stories into 3 or 4 different platforms.
I can go out now and I can understand how to write a print. I know how to do social media. I can shoot a video. So you start to trust yourself and to use your journalistic skills.
In 21st century newsrooms, journalists have to be able to do it all.
We ask every one of our reporters to tell stories in multiple ways.
There's a different style of writing for print than there is for radio, than there is for television. And it's really important that the information gets out that is true to those platforms.
We are one of the few, if not the only, program that is actually taking students to a live broadcast and giving them that opportunity and that experience.
I want to be a journalist because I think I like to listen other stories.
午间好，这里是媒体综合新闻节目，我是谭一丹，欢迎收
I
看。
find that the students that come out of St. Clair College are already at or above where some of our broadcast employees have been over the last several years.
I feel that I made the greatest decision I could by choosing this program because I have learned so much, and I think that I can only grow from here.
I would hands down recommend the program to someone considering it. I would recommend it to someone that's not even considering it. They teach you such a vast array of different skills, different platforms, different things that you could really apply to so many different careers.
Based on literally hundreds of interns I've seen over the years, St. Clair students are better prepared to go into the work environment in media than most students coming out of colleges and universities across North America.
I think it's that very comprehensive curriculum that we have that creates converged journalists that sets this journalism school apart.
Feel free to check us out. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Zachary Balog, and you've been watching MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.